In this video, I'm gonna give you the perfect chest workout. Here's the thing. One of the questions I've gotten a lot recently, one person in particular has asked all over the place, but basically what I do for my upper chest. And yes, the upper chest is probably the most neglected part of the chest. Everyone goes straight into flat bench pressing. Well, I've always started with my upper chest. So for this workout, I'm gonna give you my favorite chest workout. So this is basically how I set this up. I'm gonna take you through a few different exercises, but the first thing I like to start with is somewhat of a pre-exhaust exercise. So what we're gonna be doing is a lighter weight incline press. You'll notice this incline press is somewhat high. And when I say high, I mean it's about a 45-degree angle. Typically, I don't like 45-degree angles when I'm working my upper chest, as you'll see with my second incline exercise. So I actually recommend a 30-degree. So what is a 30-degree? It's basically gonna be, this bench actually doesn't have it, but it's more about that position right there. So if you're doing incline press work, incline flies, anything like that, typically I recommend a 30-degree incline. Main reason, this is going to take some of your front delts out of the movement. Whereas the typical 45-degree angle here, you'll even see some of these preset benches that are this high. Anytime you're working with this angle here, you're basically putting a lot of stress on the front delt. That's why you'll see a lot of people overdeveloping their front delt and almost no muscle across the top of their chest. I actually want you to really try and isolate the upper chest first. But because we're just doing a pre-exhaust movement here, it's okay to use this angle with the first exercise. All right, so what we're gonna do is choose a lighter weight, because anytime you're doing a pre-exhaust technique, basically the goal with that is really high reps. You want to eliminate heavy weight because you want to eliminate the tricep and the front delt as much as possible, and just really focus on getting blood flow into the upper chest first. So let's start with trying to develop a mind-muscle connection. One of the best ways you can do that is doing a squeeze press. So let's show you what this squeeze press looks like. Squeeze press, basically I'm starting with a light dumbbell. I think I've got, what are these, 25s. You can go heavier than this, but I just want to show you basically what you should be doing here. Squeeze press, you're gonna take these dumbbells and squeeze them together as hard as possible. So that's the main goal here. And go ahead and pinch those shoulder blades back, and then you're gonna drive the weight up as if you're doing a regular bench press, but you're constantly putting tension on the dumbbells. You're squeezing them together as hard as possible all the way up, just like that. You're squeezing together on the way up, and keep squeezing all the way down. Nice and slow here. Let's show you 5 or 6 of these. Again, I'm really squeezing these together as hard as possible. What that is doing is allowing me to put a lot of the emphasis on my upper pecs and less on my triceps. And again, when I say high reps, I'm talking 15 reps here. You want to shoot for 3 sets of 15 reps. All right, that's what you're gonna start this exercise with. So basically, if you're just pushing a weight, if I'm not squeezing these together, I'm just pushing a weight. Yeah, I'm activating my pecs and my pecs are doing a lot of the work. However, my triceps are kicking in as well. So what we're trying to do is, if you squeeze your hands together as hard as possible, you're gonna notice your pecs are contracting, they're firing. So that's basically what the goal is with this exercise. You want to fire those up as much as possible. Even if you want to get a stronger mind-muscle connection and you don't want to start with the weights, you can do the same thing here, squeezing your hands together as hard as possible, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. All right, you can still feel your chest when you're doing that. That's basically the mind-muscle connection I want you to develop. So we're trying to eliminate as much triceps as possible and as much front delts as possible when you're doing this. Again, if you have a higher bench, about a 45-degree bench, and you're doing the squeeze press, but you keep feeling it in your front delt, then go ahead and go with the other bench, even with this exercise, the 30-degree. Because at the end of the day, I really want you to just get blood flowing into the upper pec. So again, 3 sets, 15 reps is what you're gonna be doing here. Only allow for about 60 seconds rest in between each of these sets. You don't want very much rest because we're not going heavy. I don't want you to really get into the recovery that you would typically need when you're doing heavy bench pressing. You don't need that kind of recovery when we're just going for blood flow. Less rest, and then we're gonna go straight from here into the first compound mass builder movement. So again, we've pre-exhausted upper pec with this exercise, and now we're gonna go into the 30-degree incline press. I actually like doing these on a Smith machine, and if you don't have a Smith machine, it's okay, you don't need one. You can turn this exercise into a heavy dumbbell press if you're just got access to dumbbells, or even a standard incline press. The main thing though is you want your adjustable bench, because most of the preset incline benches, like I mentioned earlier, are 45-degree angles. So those will wreak havoc on your shoulders. Not only will they hurt your shoulder, the shoulder joint, but again, your shoulders are gonna take the brunt of the workload, meaning you're gonna develop big shoulders, which typically I would say is great. However, not at the expense of a small chest. All right, so we want to fill in that upper chest. So we went from one upper chest movement to the next. Now this is gonna be your heavier movement. So for here, you want a weight that you can fail within the 6 to 8 rep range. If you can do 6 reps for 4 sets, you want 4 sets of this mass builder, okay? So if you can do 6 reps for all 4 sets, that's a perfect weight. If you get to where the first one, you could probably do 10, then the weight is too light. I want you to fail within the 6 to 8 rep range when you're doing this. Just one tip when you're setting this up, make sure you keep your lower back into the pad as much as you can. Keep your core tight, and the reason I mention that, you'll see people get here and get this huge arch. They'll even lift their butt up like this. What happens when you're doing that is you're adjusting the angle of this exercise, making it more of a flat bench exercise. You're just flattening your body. So then you're not really getting the full benefits of the built-in 30-degree angle. I want you to use the 30-degree angle. Once you get the weight up, we're gonna pinch those shoulder blades together and depress them down, all right? If you'll see that, I'm gonna get the weight. I'm going to bring my shoulder blades and pinch them together, and then depress, meaning driving your shoulder blades down slightly. That's gonna keep your shoulders tucked in a good, safe position, but it's also gonna allow you to really focus on putting more of the work on the pec themselves. All right, I'll shoot for 6 here. Again, you wanna go 6 to 8, get those up. Now here goes the shoulders, squeeze, depressed. Nice, slow, under control. Press. Really control this weight, don't allow it to drop. We'll go a couple more here. That's the goal here. You'll notice I kept my lower back as flat as possible, kept my core tight, depressed my shoulders, kept them pinched together. Also, controlling the weight down is essential. You'll see a lot of people get really heavy and they tend to drop it on the way down and just focus on pressing the weight. If you do that, you're missing out on a lot of those dense muscle fibers that you're gonna be working with the eccentric portion of the lift, all right? So again, this being our mass builder movement, we're shooting for 4 sets. 4 sets here, then I like to do a couple different ones on the cable. I've got the cable set up, and basically what this is gonna be, it's a cable press, not gonna be a cable fly. The fly is basically when you're out here and you're coming across the body. When you see cable crossovers, cable flies, that's what you're doing. We're doing something similar, however, we're bringing the elbows in and up. So what we wanna focus on is more of a pressing. You're pressing and coming across. It's pressing, then coming across, as opposed to just doing a fly. Couple things, we're going from the high to low position. What that does is it really stretches the pecs this way, and on the contraction down, the concentric, it's allowing you to really focus on putting more stress and tension on the lower part of the pecs. Again, we've hammered the upper with the first 2 exercises, which also allowed us to get a full stretch for a lower. Now we really wanna isolate the lower pecs. You wanna fully round out your pecs. Don't neglect any portion of the pec if you can. Don't neglect any portion of the chest. Here we go. So basically, here you also wanna be safe. Shoulders back and kept together, and then chest out. Make sure you keep your chest out, keep your core tight, and you're pressing down. All right? I like to go right towards the waist, up, press down. I like to hold the contractions at the bottom. Good stretch, 1001, 1002. Good stretch, 1001, 1002. Hold those contractions. Those are the contractions on the way down. Good stretch. Again, when I say keeping your shoulder blades back, keep your chest out, shoulders back, that's gonna keep your shoulders safe and also keep the front delts from taking over this movement as well. So this one, I like to do 10 to 12 reps. Nice, slow, under control. So I like doing cables. Cables allow for constant tension in the overall pec area. So basically what we're gonna do, 3 sets of a high to low press. Since we're going a little bit heavier, more of a press movement with this, you wanna rest about 90 seconds between each of these sets. Then what I like to do is bring this more to a mid fly. Now we're gonna do more of a fly, but from the mid angle, the middle position. So let's show you what this looks like. We went press, you'll notice the elbows, there's more of a bend in the elbows with the press. Now we're bringing them out a little bit. This is gonna allow more of an overall fly movement. Chest up, out, and right across. Really feel your inner pecs squeezing together. Keep your chest out when you come back and bring the handles together. You don't need to cross, you just want to bring them together and squeeze together. Again, another full 2 seconds if you can. 1001, 1002. Chest out. 1001, 1002. Nice, slow, and under control with these as well. And let's shoot for 10 to 12 here, another 3 sets. These will really push blood into your pecs. After you do these, you're really gonna feel your chest tightening up quite a bit. Again, not only because this is your 4th exercise and you've already pre-exhausted, you've already done some heavy work, now it's just about pumping up the chest. So once you're finished with both of these cables exercises, then we're gonna do our very last one, parallel bar dips. Old school workout or old school exercise. Not a lot of people do dips anymore. I actually like these, and you wanna shoot for about 8 to 10 reps when you're doing these. The key thing when you're doing dips though, dips can wreak havoc on your shoulder. You gotta make sure the setup is right. You gotta make sure you're doing these correctly. So I like to bring my elbows in slightly, keep them closer to your body as opposed to coming real wide. Bring them in, which creates a little external rotation inside the shoulders. From there, keep your core tight and you're gonna lean forward slightly. You don't wanna be completely upright. That's gonna put a lot of stress on your shoulders. So make sure you lean forward slightly. You're gonna get a full stretch at the bottom, and on the way while you're pressing your body up, bringing your elbows close together is what you should be focused on. By coming in as opposed to just extending, you're going to get a really deep contraction in your pecs. All right, so let me do a few of these here, and then I get forward lean, good stretch, good contraction at the top. Forward lean, good contraction. Let's do 3 or 4 more here. Really focus on squeezing again. Boom, right there, you'll really feel a good squeeze, good stretch. Squeeze, 1 more. And again, control the descent. On the way down, control yourself on the way down. That's gonna keep these shoulders safer by doing that. This is basically the way it's structured, set up to be the perfect workout for your chest, especially if your main focus is your upper chest. Because once again, we're working all of the chest, but we're starting with the weaker part, putting all of your initial energy into bringing the upper chest up. First, bring that up, put a lot of stress and emphasis on building the upper. Then we're stretching, we're growing with heavy weight, we're doing body weight stretching. You're doing a lot of different things that are gonna help you round out the perfect chest. But man, hope you like this workout. If you do, give me a thumbs up, let me know. If you have any questions about this workout or any of the exercise, comment below and let me know. Other than that, man, that's all that I got. Get busy, get after it. God bless.